Hello everyone, Sarah here. Welcome back. I am wrapping up November for y'all. November was definitely better than October, but I will tell you that there was a moment that I got triggered, and that was the end of that for November. So I'll save that for last, I guess. For nonfiction November, there were 4 prompts, but I only completed one of them. It is okay. I was a success. I finished a nonfiction book, and that was 20,000 Secrets of Tea, The Most Effective Ways to Benefit from Nature's Healing Herbs by Victoria Zack. And this was a very interesting book. It wasn't quite what I expected, though. I will totally admit to that. But I learned a lot about herbal teas in here and have grabbed a couple things to put into practice from this book. So it was definitely worth a look-see for healing and health and things like that. I did have to knock down some points though, because it did get on my nerves a little bit. I think it was written in 1999, and there is no need to start mentioning hysteria. That was done away as a diagnosis in 1960, which was still too late. There was a little bit of the bullcrap in here that I was not fond of when it comes to female complaints, and phrases and terminology and things that were used that were very archaic, and there was a little bit too much of like a hippie undertone in it, because I'm not a granola sort of person, and if you are, that's cool. I mean, to each their own. So it was a little bit much. So 3 stars, although I did take away some very interesting things from here. I'm still partway through The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. This was one of the things I was reading when I got triggered, and so it wasn't the book I was reading that triggered me, but I had put it aside for a little bit just because I got all sidetracked and crazy and stuff. So anyway, whatever. Moving on. On audiobook, I listened to Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance by Ruth Emmy Lang. This was a very interesting book. This is about a man who was raised by wolves, and he's not a man through the whole thing, but Wylan Gray, and it is told through the people who knew him and loved him, about him kind of growing up and their experiences with him. And they call it, it's a little bit of like a magical realism sort of thing, which I got introduced to through A Monster Calls, which is what I will forever think of as true magical realism. So this is it's very interesting. Anyway, it's a very interesting book. I gave it 4 stars. It was narrated by multiple different people. So, the female, had a female narrator, the males had male narrators. And so so it was well narrated, and it was just a very interesting book. I would recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. It's very difficult to explain because it's magical realism. Magical realism just can't be explained. So just liked it, I think, because it was so different, and that's why I enjoyed it, not maybe for the actual story, but it was kind of cool. I also read The Way Home by Cindy Girard. This is book 2 in the One-Eyed Jacks series, and I don't think you have to read this in order. This is a romantic suspense, higher on the romance than the suspense side of things, but it was definitely more on the woman's fiction side. Now that I'm looking, I'm kind of remembering what I liked and what I didn't like about it. This former special ops soldier comes check up on a widow, and because there was fishy stuff going on, and to kind of protect her, and he kind of liked her from when he had met her before, and they end up falling in love, and then she finds out she's not a widow. Her husband has had amnesia and has been kept in Afghanistan by an Afghani woman, and they end up, they have to go and try to rescue him, and the man that she fell in love with, the widow. Now, it's like this whole thing and how it ends up playing out. So it was like a very interesting, and I don't think I've really overread that sort of plot line before, and so it seemed new and good to me, and I appreciated this, but it's definitely light on the suspense. I read One Spoonful of Trouble by Nick Saint. This is a Kindle released book. It is a cozy mystery. It is the first book in the Mysteries of Bell and Whitehouse. And Felicity is a woman who works in a bakery. Her parents kind of want to retire, but she's working there, and interesting things, crimes happen in this little town, and she wants to be a reporter. I don't know. Anyway, this book didn't work for me. She was not engaging as a character. The male, a likable character is not something that you need for a book to be good. Like, the main character does not need to be likable. But there has to be at least someone in the book that you like. And in this book, I didn't like anyone. And so, as a result, I just didn't feel it. The story wasn't there for me. It just wasn't, I gave it 2 stars. I didn't really like this, which is a shame. I have the other 2 books in the series. Because I bought it as a trilogy altogether on Kindle. But I think it was cheap, so I think I'm just gonna throw that to the side because there are plenty of books that I would like to read. And ladies and gentlemen, I finished the Pink Carnation series. I'm sad. So we have The Mark of the Midnight Manzanilla and The Lure of the Moonflower, which are books 11 and books 12 of this series, and I am done with it, and everyone's story is wrapped up lovely. The Pink Carnation story wrapped up, and our modern counterparts have wrapped up, and I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, if you've gotten to book 11 and 12 in a series, you'll know what I'm talking about, but at this point there's no point in even going into what the series is about, other than it's a dual timeline sort of deal. And these are delightful, and I'm very, very sad that they're done, and yet at the same time, glad that I finished them because they were very good. From the library, I got the latest Stephanie Plum novel by Stephanie Ivanovich. It's Look Alive 25. Why do I keep reading this series? Like, it's just tradition at this point. I gave it 2 stars. I don't know if I'm gonna keep reading, to be honest. Again, it's book 25 in a series that should have ended a long time ago. It is cookie cutter in the extreme. There's nothing new. I mean, did I laugh? Yes, but I'm tired of laughing at the same jokes, and her car blowing up, and the fact that she can't choose between 2 men. Oh my goodness, the poor dear. Can't choose between 2 gorgeous men. She's a bit slutty. She cheats at her boyfriend all the time. I'm kind of done with her. And I don't know why I keep reading, other than I just want to see if she ever chooses. That's what it's come down to. I just want to know whether or not she's going to choose a guy, and if we're going to be done with this. I really, really, really wish. Oh, and Jenna Ivanovich is now bringing Diesel back into the book. So now she has 3 men that are all around. And I don't like her bringing that part of the storyline into the main storyline, the secondary storyline, with Diesel and all the magical stuff. I don't like it. I want Diesel and Lizzie books. I want her to finish that series. That would be great, but there hasn't been a book in that series in a very long time. And as you can see, I have lots of opinions, and I'm getting all revved up and irritated about this book, and I don't know why I keep reading it. Then I read Xmas by Kate Bryan. This is a love-hate young adult romance that I won. I didn't really like this one very much, to be perfectly honest. I'm not a fan of holiday-themed books, and I have like very strong opinions about things, and my opinions are not always popular. Lila is left alone by her parents. She is an absolute dickwad who all she wants, and a dickwad because she's a girl, but whatever. All she wants to do in life is be popular. She ditched all of her friends. She has like no moral compass at all. She's nasty. Her parents are idiots. Her little brother is way too smart for his own good. And she's nasty, and she tells him that there's going to be no Santa Claus because global warming is going to melt the North Pole or whatever. And so her little brother goes off to try to save Santa Claus while her parents are away. And her and this boy that she used to like but is now dissed because she's too cool for him have to try to go and get their brothers back. It's like most people would probably adore this book, but it was just too much for me. I couldn't get past her. So this wasn't my thing. 2 stars. The last book I finished in November was Winter in Paradise by Ellen Hildebrand. And hooray, this was my October book of the month pick, and I read it in November. Yes, high five to me for reading my book of the month pick. I enjoyed this book. I have never read her before. After I finished this book, I looked on Goodreads and she gets some mixed reviews, but since I haven't read her before, you know, it was delightful. This is the first book in some sort of series. I am very much looking forward to the second book, but they do not have anything about it on Goodreads, so I hope I do not forget to keep up with it. I might actually keep this book so that I remember to get the next book in the series. It's a little bit family drama and a little bit mystery. I wouldn't say that the mystery part is something that you wouldn't get. I don't go looking for the end of stories or to like solve the mysteries before the people tell you, before the author brings you to the logical conclusion. But this was very easy to guess what in the world was going on. But I don't feel like it diminished from the story at all. I found it a very interesting story. I highly enjoyed it. The people were interesting. This is about Irene, who finds out after her husband dies that she loved, you know, that he was killed in a plane crash, and she finds out that he has a secret other life on this island, and so she goes because she's left everything in the will, and finds out all this stuff, and her kids come in. It's like, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, not 5. I don't know why, but 4 stars. And probably because I guessed what was going on. And I am very much looking forward to the next installment in this, because I think there's more to come. Then we come to the sad part of our program, in which case I tried to read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And I got to not very far into this book, and I was very much triggered. My depression and suicide was triggered a bit from an adult viewpoint in this book. So I will throw that out there to people who have that, and it threw me off quite a bit. And so the rest of November was a wash from this. So I don't even want to look at this book anymore. I'm getting rid of it. And I'm surprised I even kept it to wrap up. So I know a lot of people really adore this book, but I didn't even really realize until that moment how big triggers really are a very big deal. And I never thought in my entire life that I would be triggered quite that badly. So I don't know if it was like just a perfect storm sort of situation or what it was, and I totally respect you to be able to read this book, and maybe I would have loved the main storyline. I don't know. We're never going to find out, because that was really, it wasn't good. And I don't remember ever anyone putting anything out there. So, okay. So maybe I'm just overly sensitive. I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. So the rest of November after that, I couldn't read anymore for I think a couple weeks. I didn't read at all. But I will say that December is turning into a good thing. I've been reading a lot of light, fluffy things, and I'm getting myself back together again. Other than now I'm sick. Yeah, so December is turning into a much better reading month, and but I needed a little bit of a mental health break after that. So, not to end on a nasty note, but that was kind of the end of that for November. And I will see you all again sometime, probably in the new year. So, have a wonderful reading day, week, year. Looking forward to everyone's wrap-ups and everything else. So I will talk to you later.